Urban Wasteland's built around having this center hotel and this stadium. It depicts a more modern city, 1960s, 1970s city that's just been blown to hell.
Typically what the process is for building a level for Confrontation, it starts with the designers, and they often use a package called SketchUp, which will just allow them to very quickly draw top-level design of what a Confrontation level looks like.
Because when design creates these levels, there's no texture, there's no detail. It's a very neutral set piece, essentially, and then it needs the paint. So we would show our concept idea to a concept artist, and then they take a look at kind of what we're trying to accomplish within the level, and then they'll come back with the concept art, which we see, and it gives us ideas, and then we build around that.
When our concept artist painted it, he put in these big skywalks connecting the hotel to the buildings across the street. So they were nowhere in the design, but they were great with it. Those are awesome. And when the designer saw those skywalks, they said, we want to blow those up. So that became one of the key moments of the level, is that you can use these skywalks to rapidly cross the level with cover, but you can place charges and blow them apart. So it's a really organic process.
Originally, we had a much larger space for the level, so you could go out into surrounding streets and alleyways, but we found that it was just too big. Even with 32 players in the game, people were getting spread too thin. So we brought that in, we closed off some of those outside alleys, and again, just refocused it on the hotel in the center.
This big monolithic structure that would be the anchor of the level, and it created all this height. And it really drew out one of the themes of Confrontation, which is the draw distance. On the PS3, our draw distance is really, really long. And people playing SOCOM on the PlayStation 2 are used to these short draw distances and fogging. It really changes the gameplay when you can shoot a weapon very long range across the map. And if you're up in the third floor balcony, you can see a guy who's half a kilometer away trying to run between two trucks.
It's a good sniping map. I know that people who are fans of sniping will love this map.
What sort of emerged next was that even though the above ground layer had been destroyed and he'd started to punch holes through the street into the underground, is that what underneath there are all these subways and access tunnels and interesting spaces. So that's when the whole level sort of became this split, multi-leveled above ground, below ground thing.
So at that point, there's a lot of areas we discovered players can get to that we don't necessarily want the player to get to. We try to control the flow.
It's still one of the more wide open maps that we have in Confrontation. And one of the things that we found is that we really needed to fill it with a lot of objects and clutter in order to make it feel like a real space. And that is very different from any of the other levels we've done in the games.
Scattering bits of paper, just empty plastic bags.
There's actually 2 or 3 different kinds of what we call debris. Cheap debris, it's fairly inexpensive for us to process that kind of stuff. For example, the garbage bags, you can shoot those and they kind of spill out and then it kind of disappears. The more expensive kinds of debris are the stuff that persists. For example, if you go around shooting the car doors or any of the vehicles on there, and there's kind of bits that kind of blow off it, and they stick around on the floor, and that stuff's a little more expensive because it persists in the world, and any of that stuff that you create, you have to handle from then on out. It then goes over to the art team, and they go off and they take that and they essentially recreate it using Autodesk Maya. They go off and rebuild the level, they pretty it up, and they go off and they texture it, they apply all of the images to it that make it look like a real environment. The lighting artists then go off and they do all of their lighting simulation, and at that point you essentially look like an environment that has been lit naturally.
The level of detail that we were able to put into this ruined city and the view of the hotel with all the clouds and dust and smoke really is something unique that we haven't been able to accomplish in any other SOCOM level.
Urban Wasteland is unique in terms of how it leverages tactics. This map is about these critical control points and some fairly big spaces. This is really kind of modern warfare type of stuff, this ruined city, and a team using their headsets who are actually coordinating their actions will probably have an amazing advantage, we find. So this is really, really a team map.